Welcome, welcome. I am so excited to kick off this mini series featuring nurses and health professionals who are making a big impact. In each session, they'll share their journey, their insight, and some of the incredible work that they are doing. But be sure to stay tuned until the very end because they have some tips and tricks of how they stay balanced, how they manage to do all that they are doing and not burn out. You don't want to miss it. Our very first guest today is Jasmin Brown. Jasmin is a nurse, a mom, an entrepreneur, and we can probably throw in there a master juggler. She's always on the go and always doing so much. Jasmin, welcome.
Hi, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So Jasmin, to start out, why don't you share a little bit about your nursing journey, maybe where you started, what you're doing now, and what the future of that looks like for you.
I've been a nurse since 2000 I graduated nursing school 2010, passed my boards that following January 2011. So I've been practicing as a nurse since 2011. I started out in the mental health field, did that for a while, and then I went to private duty nursing, did some one-on-one, and then actually ended up getting pregnant. So after I had my kid, my one and only kid, after maternity leave, I decided to go back to mental health, and I worked at a mental health clinic for about 5 years and just kind of got burned out. You know, we as nurses, we get burned out. And so I was just ready for a change. And so now I'm a school nurse, first time ever to do school nursing, but I enjoy it. I could be on the same schedule as my son. And so that's a big bonus, having the same schedule as him and not having to worry to find babysitters or daycare or, so mom's home when he's home, and it's the perfect schedule. So I'm enjoying it so far.
That's wonderful. I've always been intrigued and interested in becoming a school nurse. It's never anything that I actually pursued, but I've always heard that nurses that do it, they love the flexibility, and it's a little less stressful and chaotic than being on the floor in the hospital. That's interesting. I didn't know that you had a background in mental health. I also do that. I started out doing oncology and also did a lot of mental health. And boy, that will burn you out. So Jasmin, you also have a scrub uniform business. Why don't you share a little bit about that? How did you get into that in the first place?
So yes, I own a scrubs business. It's called Lap of Luxury Scrubs. I got into the business back in 2020. It was COVID. The world had shut down. There was nothing to do. Nurses were still working, but we were so scared to go to work because we thought we were going to catch COVID. Everybody was dying. It was just a scary time. So I had a lot of times on my hands and just started researching, and I came across the scrubs industry. Apparently it's this $1 billion industry, like this huge industry. And I was like, oh, wow, like, let me get into something like that. Who doesn't want, to be part of this $1 billion industry, right? So I did my research. I found a wholesaler. I signed up under this wholesaler. She got me my first cases of inventory, helped me get signed up with my LLC and get my EIN, just kind of showed me the way. And I finally got started on my own, and I've been in business for 3 years now. I carry all kind of brands, Mercator, Cherokee, Heart Soul, Dickies, all the high quality top brands. And I'm mobile, so I don't have a storefront. I come directly to you, which is the luxury, as I like to say, the luxury of Lap of Luxury Scrubs, because you don't have to worry about coming to find me. I'll come directly to you. And being a nurse helps, because then I know what my customer likes. I know what's good quality. I know what's good for bending and squatting and lifting and all the things we have to do as a nurse. So it's a benefit to be a nurse and be in this industry. So I love it. It's great. Going well so far.
Awesome. I think that's one of the businesses that a lot of nurses hear about, but I don't always encounter a lot of nurses that actually do it. And I love how vast nursing is. You know, one size does not fit all. Literally, if you are into photography, if you're into journalism, if you're into entrepreneurship, then you can literally forge your own path. You can absolutely merge that into your career as a nurse. And so that just makes it very versatile and just very advantageous, I believe. So I don't know about you, but when I went to nursing school, I did not really get any business savvy lessons. So tell me, has it been challenging for you, you know, as a nurse building this business? What's been the most challenging for you? And maybe give us some of the lessons you've learned along the way.
So yes, it was definitely a challenge getting started because like you said, you don't learn about the business side of things as a nurse. And so I went in it kind of blind. I do have a master's in healthcare administration. So I kind of had like a little knowledge of how to run a healthcare facility, but it's not necessarily the same thing as running a scrubs business. So I had a little knowledge, but not all that I needed. And so there was a lot of lessons learned, a lot of failures, a lot of setbacks, lost a lot of money because it's a huge investment. And so growing a business, it's very costly. And so I had to get mentors. I've had about 2 or 3 mentors because you don't know it all. And like you said, especially going in kind of blind, you need the help. You need, you know, all the resources you can get. So I will say in getting those, using my resources and learning as a business owner, you don't know it all going in. You think you do. You go in like, oh, I'm a nurse. I wear scrubs. It'll be easy, but no, it's not at all. So definitely a growing and learning experience for sure.
Yes, I agree with all of that. Starting out, there was a huge learning curve for me, and there was so many things that I had to, you know, learn along the way. A lot of it, unfortunately, was trial and error, but you pick it up as you go. And like you said, having a mentor is so, so helpful. So if there's anyone listening right now that is perhaps considering getting into the scrub retail business, what is one key piece of advice or practical advice that you could give to them?
I would say do your research. Don't go in blind. Make sure you're going in understanding the scrubs industry. And just because you're in healthcare, take it from me, doesn't mean you know about the scrubs business. So make sure you find out about the wholesalers, you know, who to get accounts with. Make sure you know how to start your LLC and EIN. Don't try to run a business and not be structured properly, because if you're not structured properly, it makes it hard for funding and it makes it hard for people to trust you. They might not buy because they don't think you're a legit business. So just make sure you're set up and you do your research so that when you do start, you're on the ball and you're ready to grow as a business. So that would be my advice. Use your resources and don't go in blind.
I think that's great advice for a lot of things in life. And really, you know, like you said, getting your LLC, your EIN, all of that set up, you know, you always want to have a good foundation, a good solid legal foundation. So absolutely make sure that those things are solid. And I think that's definitely key. It adds to your credibility. One of the things we do with our site when we get vendors is we absolutely look at those things and make sure that each one is credible and trustworthy. So Jasmin, you are a nurse, you're a mom, you're an entrepreneur, and, you know, everything else that you're doing in your life. So tell me, how do you keep your head above water? How do you stay balanced? How do you continue to pour into yourself and not burn out when you're constantly doing so much?
That is a great question. So I say great time management skills is a plus. If you're not someone with great time management, I would advise getting a planner or some type of calendar. That's what I do to keep me organized. I write down everything in my calendar, in my planner, of what I have to do every day. And so it helps me to kind of plan accordingly. Okay, it's Monday. I have a Zoom call with Shauntel, or, Tuesday, I have, just seeing it. And I'm a visual person. So if I see it, I'm going to do it. So I would just say, make sure you have good time management, utilize your calendar and your planner, and then just also self-care, because you have to take a break as well. If you try to cram everything all in at once and not actually take a step back and take time for yourself, it'll cause so much anxiety and overwhelming emotions and feelings. So just self-care and try to stay organized and utilize that calendar. That's what helps me. Hopefully it helps others as well. So.
Yes, thank you. I think those are both very sound pieces of advice. Staying organized is absolutely key, and having good time management skills. I remember reading an article, I don't know, this was maybe a few months back, about this young girl. She was maybe 16, 17 years old, and she was in college. And they were asking her, like, how do you manage to do all of these things? And what she said was time management. She was like, our attention span is so short. Most people will start things, they're not consistent, they're not disciplined. And so time management is absolutely key. Like you, I am a very visual person. I don't know if you have used or are familiar with the Finch app at all, but it's really, I think it's more so focused on self-care, but a lot of people use it just for time management. And I love it because I love to write things down, and I still do daily, but I use this app and I put literally everything on there. You can customize it, however you like, all throughout the week. You can make it repeat. You can, different things like self-care acts that I'll have on there, like exercise or, take deep breaths. You can add it multiple times a day, but it's really cool. And it has really, really helped me with time management for sure. So Jasmin is one of our vendors on our site, a lot of luxury scrubs. And if anyone is out there looking for comfortable, stylish, sleek scrubs, she has so many to choose from. Be sure to check her out on our site, Lap of Luxury Scrubs. We will drop the link in the description. Jasmin, would you like to add anything to that? Tell them a little bit more about your scrubs, how amazing they are.
Yes, I would love to add, as Shauntel said, we have some of the best scrubs and medical apparel. So not only do we sell scrubs, but we also sell like accessories. So we have like the stethoscopes and compression socks. We also do like your lab coats and your lab jackets, your underscrub tees for those people that work in the hospitals or clinics that are like freezing cold to keep the germs out. If you want like an underscrub tee. So we just have a variety of things that we offer. And so if you're ever looking for a scrub vendor, we would love to help you. We have so much to offer. So check us out. You can find us on chartlife.com. And we're on all social media platforms as well.
And I think the beauty of it is you're not just buying wonderful scrubs for yourself, but you are also supporting nurses and health professionals. And a portion of all of our proceeds goes toward keeping our resources free. We have a free peer-led support group that we run for nurses and health professionals, and lots of free resources on our site. So Jasmin, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. It has been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.